Alright, let's do this.
Now then, let's speak during the class
it's
trial.
the last
If
trial,
you
we
vote
know.
correctly, then I'll punish everyone. Oh my, Monami? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What's happened to you? You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon? Because you're a rabbit? Yes, no! One more time! Jeez! How about this one? This will be my final blow!
Oh, but it refused.
It's useless.
Please stop! I feel bad for Monomi.
Well, that makes one of us.
You're right. Now's not the time for me to horse around with Monami. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who was attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake.
Thank God.
Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
Yeah, it seems kind of fucked up we're gonna punish the person that killed Nagito, actually.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up.
While logical, we probably shouldn't assume that.
No, that might not be it.
Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger.
It seems more likely to me they were trying to get the traitor's name out of him.
Don't tell me you're the traitor.
Don't say something so stupid. There's no way in hell I'm the traitor.
He is pretty stupid to be the traitor.
Now that's more like it. Why don't you guys hurry and start arguing already?
The traitor and the killer who murdered Nagito is here, right? Are they the same person? Or... probably torture would.
Killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
Well, yeah.
So that's why he was so beat up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him?
That's the thing.
Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
They have no reason to
So,
torture him.
The suspect is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
So what does Monokuma's account say exactly again? By the way, I took a few days between, so I'm ready to have forgotten everything. He never revealed that fact to anyone. What does it say for the torture wounds? Tied with rope. Each rope was tied to nearby pillars. Stabbed.
I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place. If so, the suspect is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
To be honest, I already don't really know what to say for this. Were the wounds on Nagito's body really caused by torture in the first place? Oh. You think they might not have been that? You know, it occurs to me. It actually might not have been torture. Because the fact that the duct tape is crinkled and there's no blood under it kind of implies he always was duct taped. And if that's the case, they never would have been able to get anything out of him anyway because he couldn't speak. And also, there are wounds on his 3 limbs, but not the limb that's been stabbed with the knife. What if Nagito was trying to cut his own body parts off to escape? Is that a big pivot to make suddenly? Because I've been assuming he got tortured this whole time, but Hajime's end thing kind of implies it wasn't torture. If that's the case, how do you prove it, though? You obviously use something on the tortured Nagito
The reason
one.
Nagito's body was covered with
It's either the
wounds.
duct tape or the knife, right?
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
In that case, so...
No, that's
Holy
wrong.
shit!
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything.
I am a genius.
If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared.
Okay, that's fair, to be honest. We've made we've made an absurdly heavy pivot off of the first debate in the trial.
Trap?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap.
Okay. This might be wounds.
Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped, you obviously assumed he couldn't, but that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
Wait, what?
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Yeah,
Pay
exactly.
attention. This is how it went. First, the killer tortured Nagi and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him... Damn it!
So,
You said,
is it just the
Nagito's
duct
mouth
tape?
was obviously assumed he could, but that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
Is it the duct
But
tape
if you tape his
again?
mouth shut,
Like,
how is he supposed to answer anything?
because I want to point out the blood, so that has to be
Pay
that,
attention.
right?
This is first, the killer tortured Nagi and got information about the bomb's location.
No. My inclination would be to point out that there's
Pay
no
attention.
blood
This is
under
how
the
it went.
tape.
First, the killer tortured Nagi and got information, and then, after they killed him...
There? Okay.
Allow me to cut through those words. No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
The only problem with this is the blood on his face might have come from the spear wound instead, which was after death regardless.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? Might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors.
Seems reasonable.
We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? You have a crush on him or something?
Are you in elementary school?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds, which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
Wait, how do we know the blood on his face came from his arm wounds? How do we know that exactly? Because, I mean, it seems like it would be safe to assume at least some of it came from the spear. How did we differentiate it? Did we do something that I missed?
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Which, to be honest, doesn't necessarily prove much of anything to me, because he could have been trying to beg us not to kill him when the door opened anyway. But they also haven't figured that part out yet, I don't think.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so we wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
I mean, objectively, yes. It's more a point of when they wanted to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer?
If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
Hmm? The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
We can't think of any other reason.
Oh, I can.
But who could have done that?
Destroying evidence could be a side benefit, though.
When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
Yeah. And right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning.
See,
from the
this
very
is
back.
trivially easy to deduce that we caused this fire. This is one of those points
Which
where I
means
feel like we shouldn't
It is
even
plausible
need...
to think that nobody here set the fire.
No. Like, this is one of those things that I kind of begrudge having to explain because it seems so in your face what caused the fire.
Killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
Even if it was
Here's the
only a
question, though,
coincidence, the
right?
timing was just too perfect.
Who... If we did kill him by starting that fire, who actually killed Nagito as far as Monokuma is concerned? Is it the person that tied Nagito up, or is it the person that started the fire? If that is what caused the death, which is what I'm still assuming is the case. Like, does the blame shift to that person because they are technically the one that stabbed him despite not knowing? Because as far as I'm concerned, it would be the person who tied him up. But does Monokuma follow that mindset?
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Yes. Obviously.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
Now there's a deduction for you. Well, several other murders have had setups included them, so...
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect. Alrighty then, let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is!
The reason for the fire, huh? They're right, we need to clear that up first. Probably the panels.
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
No.
They probably just threw the lighter.
No.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
No.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Guys.
Or perhaps opening the door caused...
Yes.
I agree.
We got there in the end.
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure! A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
Okay, dude.
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
No, it's called Mahjong, you fucking
In
idiot.
place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second.
Is that where that rope was supposed to be tied? That corner? I guess that makes sense. It seems like it needed to be closer to the fire, though.
And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
To be fair, we should have still heard you know, as they all fell over, but...
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
Oh, there was music playing. Oh, that's true. That's a good point. That's good. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see.
You're right. You're right. You're right. I'd completely forgotten
Yours
about the
talking
music
about
that was
the
playing.
MP3
That's true.
right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
Of course, of course. It's in hindsight, obviously. The inside of the warehouse felt even darker because our eyes still weren't used to the bright sunlight outside. To be fair, they should have still been able to see the lighter, though. Even if it got knocked over, like, there should have still been light coming off of it, but we won't dwell on the details too heavily. Within that darkness, a loud hymnal blared throughout the warehouse at full volume. Do you guys hear something? Yeah, it was really damn loud. Actually, why am I listening to this again? We know.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
No problem. Alright, we're going in hard instead. Yeah.
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter. Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
You're right, but I already think the person had left the warehouse. The killer couldn't have left.
I see. If the panel was so close to the door,
Well,
it could barely be
no.
open.
How did they get out? Yeah. So what did they do, actually? You're right. I realize now what I said 5 seconds ago was pretty stupid. Yes, there was one exit, so how did they get out? My man didn't set it up himself, surely. So what happened?
The killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind
Yes,
of
a setup was definitely used, but how did they get out after they did the setup?
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
You don't mean...
This murder.
Hajime? What do you mean?
Are we really going to assume it's Nagito? I guess we have to until we figure something else out, right? Person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse. There's only one person who could have done it. Surely not.
This is my answer.
Surely not.
It was Nagito.
Surely fucking not.
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Surely not.
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim. And he was the perpetrator, too. Maybe.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid.
Surely
His
not.
body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget?
How could this possibly have been caused by Nagito? How did he stab? What's going on here? How'd he stab his hand like that and then tie the other hand?
Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
But, like, he went through a bit of a personality shift as well. Like, he was willing to work with somebody that wanted to be the killer, but, like, that didn't really feel like it was the case anymore.
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember? Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need
No.
to discuss?
Surely this isn't the case. This is a fucking insane pivot to make immediately upon starting the trial.
That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Like, I get ya, how did the killer get out? But maybe we should examine that angle more closely before we jump to this conclusion. Seems impossible if you think about it, but I feel like I'm overlooking something. Like, maybe we should just consider alternative methods of leaving that building first.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke!
What?
Is that a dirty joke?
Surely.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
Are we gonna
Tying
use
just
the
legs is
burned
one thing,
rope?
but tying both arms would be
Is the implication here gonna be that arm was never tied to begin with? I guess his sleeve isn't burnt, which implies it was a more localized fire. But then how did he stab his own fucking hand?
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth?
Surely not.
Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
It's like the burned rope, maybe?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible.
tying just the
second.
legs, tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
Okay. Maybe on the first one?
To actually tie up your own arms.
Oh my
No, that's
fucking
wrong.
god.
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
Then how did he stab his own hand?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on...
Oh, fucking
That was
god.
just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
The
I
sleeve.
see.
Take a close look at his right
But
sleeve.
how did he stab his own hand like that?
Even though the rope was burnt up, the sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Do you do that?
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
it's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand. Ah, that much is obvious.
Hajime, you tricked me. Give me back that Benjamin.
Not only did she try to charge me, now she wants the money back.
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
Oh my fucking god, what if it's something stupid like it was in the Monokuma plushie and he just sort of drove his hand down on it, since the Monokuma plushie had a hole in it? Way to stab yourself using only your right hand. Oh my fucking god, no. It can't be. Is that why the plushie looks like that?
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If you threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall,
Well, that would be impressive.
could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow?
I agree with that.
Oh my fucking god.
The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to
This
prop the
is
knife.
fucking ridiculous.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it.
I mean, I guess I was just tricked into believing this obvious trap, but I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. What a trap to lay.
If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
It's fucking insane.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
What do you mean, too long? Is there an acceptable amount of growth for a plushie to have?
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
Probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right? If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito.
Which he still could have done, and I already assumed this part.
If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Maybe if you're a coward.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Say it one more time.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stabbed into your right hand,
Guys,
while your left
we
hand
seem
is
to
tied
be
up.
really rapidly closing in on this conclusion. What's the twist gonna be?
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else. I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
I guess the moral of the story is to never assume a case is as simple as it seems.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want
Oh,
to believe it, right?
very much so, yes.
But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth.
It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monome's sassing me.
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far. So this might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course, that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
She actually said it like Among Us. Like,
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible.
this is actually the easy part.
I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together. That's how we made it this far up till now. Everyone working together.
She's right, we've made it through several ordeals up till now by doing that. Then even now...
Alright, let's do this.
Probably blood on left hand.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through. When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand.
Alright, I was
No,
pretty
that's wrong.
greedy, but there's no way it ruled it out.
Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left
This
hand.
is actually the easy part, but I thought the whole case was
His
seeming
left hand
easy
was
so
tied up, you
far.
know?
But there was something off about his left hand. The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange? He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain. Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Like you said, it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
Well, you have to justify why it looks like that. That's why.
We might need to think and use our
Or that's what's
imaginations for a
wrong.
bit. If there's blood on his palm and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
Gripping.
I see! When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear! Now that you mention it, compared to the rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made
Really?
his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
You think those are mild in comparison? I don't know.
But even if he held the spear with his tied up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
No, it's
Hey,
not.
Chiaki, what do you think? Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle. Just like fixing an old TV.
You gotta sneak up on them.
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear. I think. However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
The cord.
I see! That's it. Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding onto the cord. There was a metal weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too. Plus, The joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
Isn't the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh? And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
Excuse me? Can you really not see why that makes a difference?
You're not gonna say he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself,
You
right?
have... Okay, I know Chiaki said that we needed to use our imagination, but you are using way too much imagination there.
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides. Right, Chiaki? I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily.
Nagito is gripping the cord extending from the butt of the spear with his left hand. But from there, how would he stab himself in the stomach with the spear?
It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time? At a time like this, how about we stick to the plan to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once?
That's a long plan name.
One step at a time? What does that mean? Let's focus on the spear first. Namely, where...
How it was positioned.
That was my cat pushing the space bar that time. Hey, stop. 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 Stop, please. Hi. What? Please. What's the transcript? Okay. Oh, come on. How it was positioned. Nagito was facing up and the spear was stabbed through his stomach, so if it's just before that, could it be the spear? Yes. The fact that Nagito was holding it. Why is it going by itself now? Auto isn't on. Hello? Auto's on now. Where the spear was and what state it was in before it stabbed Nagito. Excuse me? What's going on? Why is it just doing it on auto regardless? No, fuck. Where was the spear just before it impaled Nagito? I mean, above? Do you mean the spear or the cord? The spear, right? That's above Nagito. Okay. I wasn't sure if I was being tricked. What the fuck is this? Oh my god. Where have these been the whole time? Oh fuck. Didn't even go all the way across. What a little pussy it is. Oh my god. Why do you stop there? Ugh. I guess it's a good thing they only showed up now. Beside the spear, what else was above Nagito? A ceiling girder. Sprinklers is also objectively true, but... Ah, I should have seen that one coming. That's my bad. Oh, yeah. Alright, I fucking got away with that one. Which item connects both the spear and the ceiling? Wait, what connects both the spear and the ceiling girder? The spear's cord. That was a slightly strange phrasing. Go. Please go. Is it because you pushed the button on the spacebar? Is it all fucked up now? Please go. No buttons or keys are working. It looks like I might be redoing some of this trial in a moment. Ugh, even doing quick skip through everything, it still took almost 15 minutes.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
The spear impaled Nagito as he was laying face up. It must have been perpendicular to him just before that.
What a strange way to say that.
Perpendicular? In the middle of the air?
If Nagito did that all by himself, did he have some sort of ESP? That'd be awesome, but he'd probably use the ceiling girder directly above him.
Nagito probably slung the cord over the ceiling girder, and using that as a support, he hoisted the spear directly above him. And if Nagito let go of the cord, the spear would have fallen and impaled him while he was laying face up.
I noticed a slight red streak on the ceiling girder. It probably got smeared there during the setup.
The blood on the cord probably rubbed off on the ceiling girder as the spear was falling. So, how about it? Using this method, Nagito could have impaled himself with the spear.
Are you serious? He really committed suicide? Like that?
It's pretty fucking insane, right?
He probably chose that spear so he could commit suicide like that. If someone else did this, there's no reason they'd go to all this trouble just to kill someone with a spear.
I agree. When I was investigating this case, I kept thinking over and over how strange it was. Why did the killer use the knife and the spear so differently?
So you're saying he needed to use that spear to pull off his trick?
Then, this is for real? He really committed suicide? Every single wound on his body. That was all him?
Not just that, he did all that while he was gripping the spear? That spear should not have stabbed Nagito until the very end. Which means Nagito wounded himself while he was gripping that spear, right?
Did he put the duct tape on his mouth, too?
He probably covered his own mouth so we wouldn't hear him screaming in pain.
Did he need to go that far? That's beyond crazy. Why would he do that to himself?
Surely not. There must be something we've missed.
He was probably trying to get us to make a mistake.
I know Nagito's fucking insane, but surely he isn't this insane.
By committing a suicide that looked like a murder, he was trying to steer us toward the wrong answer. His goal was to get us all executed.
That's why he stabbed himself over and over again?
Did he want us to die that bad?
That's messed up. That's seriously
I-
so messed up.
Based on everything Nagito said, I don't think the intention was that we would die, no.
Yeah, that's our Nagito.
Because he goes on constantly about, like, being the biggest hope or whatever, right? So, this seems to tie more into that, if this is the case. Like, I have to make my trick as convincing as possible, because otherwise, it's too easy. And then that hope isn't going to be very strong. This sounds like Nagito, more so than, I want those fuckers dead. Oh, don't do that, regardless, but I do think that you have come to the wrong conclusion about why he did it. I unduly underestimated his capacity for malice. I don't think it was... I don't... Like, have you guys not actually heard anything Nagito has been saying? I don't blame you, to be honest, but, like, this would be a real sharp 180 turn to suddenly be like, I want them dead. A mind-boggling malice that threatens us even after he's died. That's the form his malice took. I had forgotten all about it until now. If he was here now, he'd probably be sneering at me.
However, there is one thing I still do not understand. He said he would reveal the traitor, right? Whatever became of that?
He was probably planning to kill the traitor along with the rest of us.
So why did he not just do that in the first place? If he had no qualms with killing everyone, he did not have to cause a bomb scare to reveal the traitor.
I bet the bomb scare was part of the strategy behind this trick. He made us split up and search for a bomb so none of us would have an alibi. He created a scenario where any of us could have killed him.
He tried to make us doubt each other and tried to hide the truth behind his suicide.
Did he cause a bomb scare for that reason alone?
He's a fucking bastard who killed himself for his delusions of grandeur. It's not that unthinkable.
He has the exact opposite of delusions of grandeur, though.
You are right, I suppose.
Yeah, it appears we've come to a conclusion.
Surely not. This can't be right.
Bastard Nagito committed suicide. It was all done by him so he'd be executed.
That should be okay, right?
What?
There
You're not
can't be.
satisfied
It
yet?
can't be. There has to be something else we haven't thought of.
No, I agree that Nagito killed himself, but I feel like there's something that doesn't make sense. It's probably just my imagination.
I sort of understand what she's talking about. I feel the same way, but on a more instinctual level of just that this answer is fucking absurd. Surely this can't be right. I don't think it's a mistake to assume Nagito committed suicide, but why do I feel so uneasy about it? Is it because we don't know who the traitor is,
So
or...?
what are you gonna do? Is it okay to proceed with the voting time?
Well, going by the Peko rules, as long as we're sure Nagito killed himself, it shouldn't matter if anybody else was involved. Given from the Peko ruling is the person that, like, physically kills them, right?
What do you think, Akane?
Well, there's no doubt Nagito's death was a suicide. Oh well, I guess my gut is wrong sometimes.
You are right. It is not as though we can draw any other conclusion.
Then it's okay to end it here, huh? That means we're done with this last class trial and we can leave this island, right? It's okay to reach such a happy ending, right?
That's funny.
Then it's okay? It's okay to say, you've decided on the killer?
Monokuma, please stop leading the jury.
Understood. Then voting time.
No, hold on a sec.
Hold on. Why?
He was so stoked to kill everybody, but I will be upset if it is Nagito that did this to himself, and then for some reason we're gonna rule it differently to how we did with Peko. Because it seems to me like Nagito should be the one we vote for regardless. But...
Sorry, just a little more. I want you guys to wait just a little more. I can't help but feel like there's still something we overlooked.
Like who the traitor is?
me sitting here like, I haven't used all my truth bullets yet. There has to be something else.
But the issue here is who killed Nagito, right? Even if we identify the traitor, the conclusion won't change.
That's true, but...
The mystery isn't just about who the traitor is. No matter how you look at it, Nagito's death is a suicide. But I'm a little worried, you know? I'm worried about starting the voting time while there's still a mystery.
Hey, what do you mean it's not about who the traitor is? What kind of mystery is left?
There's just one thing that doesn't make sense, and it relates to Nagito's death. Plus, it's something even Nagito couldn't influence. He couldn't even tamper with the evidence for it.
Related to Nagito's death, and it's something he couldn't have messed with.
You're gonna keep going? Here I thought we were finally finished.
Piece of evidence even he couldn't mess with. A piece of evidence that even he couldn't mess with. So we also haven't figured out what was going on with all of that. What related to his death could he not have messed with? Wait. Why doesn't the Monokuma file have the cause of death listed? It lists his wound, but it doesn't say that those are the cause of his death. If we follow the logic we've used before, where if the time of death is omitted, that means it's an important clue, we should probably apply that logic to the cause of death as well. Right? In which case, did he get fucking poisoned by that shit that was in his cottage? What if the shit that was in those fire bombs wasn't oil, as I had been assuming? What if it was that fucking poison? That's what got him, and the spear shit's just happenstance.
I see. Is it about the
That
Monokuma file?
might be a bit of a reach to go for right now, but it doesn't say that killed him.
Yeah. Huh? There was something suspicious in the Monokuma file?
Body was discovered. Yeah. The suspicious part. What is it? What's hidden in the Monokuma file? Do you want me to say cause of death? Well, there's an of in the middle of there, it looks like. Oh, I do so hate when I have to do this, though. This is getting out of hand real fucking fast. Holy shit. Wow, that was a lot of letters that suddenly appeared. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit, relax. What is with this fucking difficulty spike? Fucking God, oh Jesus fucking Christ. I'm unbelievably overwhelmed. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. Why was that suddenly so much harder than all of the other ones?
In this particular case's Monokuma file, there's no specific cause of death.
Oh my God, I really fucking hope so. Jesus Christ, I hope.
Isn't that weird? Until now, the files always specified the cause of death. But the cause of death is obvious, is it not? The spear in Nagito's stomach. It is obvious just by looking at it that it was a cause of death.
Maybe it's not included if it's not important enough to write about.
Well, Monokuma,
I plead the fifth! There he goes again! I'm so appalled that I have nothing to say.
But even during Gundam's case, and before during Nikon's case, the thing he purposely omitted from the Monokuma file was always the most important mystery in the case. Are you saying that applies this time too?
Hold on a sec. Then, are you saying there's more to Nagito's death? Are you suggesting, again, that his death wasn't a suicide?
To be honest, I really hope that it wasn't.
You guys were the ones who said it was a suicide in the first place.
I didn't want to say that.
No, I don't think it's a mistake to call Nagito's death a suicide, but
Remember to stay hydrated.
it's not just a suicide.
Hold on, what the fuck did you just say? It's not just a suicide? What does that mean?
Come to think of it, did Nagito really commit suicide just to get us all killed?
No, I already didn't believe that.
Are you sticking up for him?
That's not what I meant. I mean it in a bad sense.
Bad sense?
I just remembered that his malice always defied our expectations, and that concerns me.
I don't know that that's true, to be honest.
For example, would that malice just end
Like,
here?
look, no one hates Nagito more than me, but I wouldn't say he had, like, unfathomable depths of malice.
Did Nagito's malice drive him to risk his life for a truth we'd reach this easily?
Like, I can see why you might describe it as malice, but it doesn't really seem like it.
I mean, this is Nagito we're talking about, you know?
How interesting! You sure do believe in Nagito, huh?
Not even remotely. I just think that everybody's drawing a peculiar conclusion based on everything that he said prior to this.
Because you believe in his malice, you continue to suspect his malice. I see. I guess that's what passes for friendship these days.
What friendship?
What should we do, you guys? Should we proceed with the vote?
No.
I think we should keep going until everyone is satisfied, even if it's just to be safe. You're right. We only get one chance to vote after all.
So, how do we get to this point, though? We still need to justify the person killing him without getting in the building. So at this point, it needs to be that they knew Nagito was going to do this. So did he work with someone willingly?
Just to be safe, huh? Guess I have no choice. If that's the case, I'll do my best to go along with it.
This is friggin' annoying. But if you guys say you're doing it, there's no way I'm gonna back out.
Hey, Monokuma, you heard us. The voting's gonna have to wait.
We've come this far. Let's work hard till the very end. That's what I
sorry.
believe.
Oh, splendid. You guys are so splendid right now. That's right. If all your hopes are united, no despair can shake you.
If all your hopes are united, no despair can shake you. Now that I think about it, Nagito said the same thing. The absolute hope that can overcome any despair. He said he was yearning for that. Yeah, and yet you've all drawn a really peculiar conclusion from that. Like, I hate Nagito as much as the next guy, but that's not really something somebody says out of malice, you know? The situation we're in might be the thing Nagito wanted all along. No, never mind. I'm probably overthinking. For once, you're underthinking, I believe. Well, perhaps I shouldn't say for once he's underthinking. My man didn't know what an elevator was at one point.
No.
Man, my heart was racing like crazy when I thought the voting time was gonna start, but, well, if you think about it rationally, there's no way it was gonna happen. We haven't done this bit yet. Most of the players probably figured that out too. You're the only one who didn't know. Isn't that right, Monami? Hey, how much longer are you planning to sulk? Let's get along, like we always do. Alright, you passed. Friendship is measured by how long you can stand the silence when you're all alone with someone. So Monami and I are the bestest of friends. Don't say such stupid things. I hate you so much right now. Enough! Why do I have to be hated that much? Besides the fact you snap at me like that, I don't trust you at all. Not even a teensy tiny 1mm bit. How sad. Distrusting your friend is much more shameful than being betrayed by that friend, you know. We aren't friends in the first place. Then as your older brother, let me say this. You're not even my brother. It's sad to live a life without friendship. That's even sadder than watching a high school rom-com full of guys.
Monokuma? So, like, are you homophobic? Well, there might be some demand for that. Well, I fell for it. I totally took the man bait. The man bait.